October 18th. We're gonna have a full moon this week. So I don't know, are you feeling the energy? Because I am. And hopefully you are doing well. Chris was actually talking about this before the recording started, but we just finished a 3-day, quite intense. I think we all went into a very different layers. I wouldn't even call it the zones, but like layers of who we are. Yeah, we are quite spent, but in an incredibly nourishing way. But it's like, okay, after the holidays, kind of a fun, after you opened up all the presents and all the grandkids and your kids, and you're all having all great time, and then you just go, right? It's kind of like that. And so we haven't had a chance to clean up everything. And I just thought, well, I would just use the same set that we used for the lung retreat. But I do wanted to start there because it was so amazing. I'm just so grateful for all of you that took the time to do it, took the time for yourself, honored yourself to set aside to really dive deeper into who you are. I'm still hearing the music, the prayer music that Chris played at the end for us. I woke up with it. I went to bed with it, and I was humming it this morning. I'm sure Chris could hear me. We neglected our laundry and everything, so I'm doing laundry this morning, and I was singing with it. It's like unfolding. It's still happening. It's beautiful. What was we were able to share. I'm so grateful that you showed up, and I'm really glad that I was inspired to do that. And Chris knows my interesting process. Maybe you could describe my process, but how I go about creating courses and workshops. But this time I looked at Chris and I said, I'm doing a retreat because I miss retreats. And I didn't know how we were able to do, or we are able to do, like online virtual retreat that was meaningful and not more fluff. Because as you get to know us, and as you get to know my work in particular, you know that I don't like to do fluffy work, just fluffing up the pillows kind of a work. It's like all rainbows and unicorns and love. I mean, that's great. That has a place for that sometimes. But I can't do that. I'm sorry, everyone. I like depth. I like to go. And I just want to express another gratitude, and then also courage, and the strength and resiliency that all of you shared with us. I've been reading all your comments, going back to the chats that I missed, and it's that I didn't even realize how much grief and sorrow and sadness that we, each and every one of us, is carrying at all times. All of us are carrying that as a tremendous weight in our bodies. And to be able to see the grief from a very different angle. Oh, hopefully you were able to do that. The Rumi's poem, and the sweetness and the sorrow, and maybe Chris can read that poem again at the end for us. But I didn't even realize how much I was carrying, Chris was carrying, and all of you that joined shared and carried, and there's so much more to explore is what I realized. And so possibly we should do the lung retreat 2.0 at some point, but we will let this one do its job. And I think as human beings, we have a tendency to go, okay, so what's the tool? What's the next thing I'm supposed to do? Give me the breathing technique. No, what's the next thing? You know what? We have to surrender and let that experience guide us this time. All of you that are here are very driven people. Otherwise, you wouldn't have found me. If you were not serious about living the life to the fullest and fully show up and give so much to others, you wouldn't have found me. So there's a reflection. So I'm going to let that retreat unfold naturally, not too fast, not too slow, the Goldilocks zone. And just that full surrender feels so much better. And I want to be surprised by it. That's what my guys and I was talking to my ancestors this morning, and they all said, just let us surprise you. Let us guide you this time instead of us guiding them forward. So those are a couple of the things I wanted to say. And thank you for joining. And Chris, you probably have some comments you want to share.
Yeah, maybe fewer than you think, but I think one of the things for me that was surprising is if you were to meet me outside of this setting that we've created. We were talking about this yesterday afternoon after the program ended, and Masami was saying to me, she's like, you're really shy, aren't you? And it was funny because I mean we've been together for 17 plus years, and I just looked at her and laughed. Are you just now starting to notice? And one of the things that's funny to me is that this what Masami said. I'm one of those people too that if I were at a party or somewhere, I'm probably going to find one person and I'm going to have a deeper conversation with them for the whole time rather than bounce around. And so that's also my tendency is to find an entry point and then really go into it. And so I feel like that's what we did. And it's been, like Masami said, this is something that I think surprised us, even though we'd been working on it behind the scenes and working on it in the weeks leading up to the weekend that we just had. It's pretty astounding when you're surprised by the thing that you thought you created. And then you figure out that actually you didn't create it. It's still creating, and it was really inviting you into a process rather than you, like Masami did that image of dragging it along. That's really what came out of it for me. And there were a lot of surprises. And so I thank all of you again for the support that you brought. And I have to confess one thing. That's when I had the Zoom fail, which was really, I won't go into that, but it was so disconcerting to me at that moment that I told Masami later that it stirred up what I would call something on the order of a childhood nightmarish scenario of having to publicly do an a cappella solo. If I absolutely hated being in choir.
You're missing one key point in church.
In church, but that's how I started. It was.
I think that many of you don't know that you're a PK.
Oh, that may be the case.
Explain what PK is.
Yeah, I'm a preacher's kid, so I grew up very closely. What's the word? I am trying to think of a not negative way to say it, but I'll just try to keep it neutral. I was either at home or school or church at any given moment in my life growing up. So anyway, that moment of finding that the only way to share the music was by doing that was challenging, definitely. And I really felt the support, first from Masami. That was probably enough, I would say, is having her give me that support. But then I could feel it from all of you that were there. So I really appreciate that. And it honestly, I think maybe even went better than the plan that we had. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was so loving. The whole community was so loving. We felt that. And like I said, retreat is being alone with others, right? Being alone with others. And I think we were able to really feel that. And so I thank you for that, because retreat isn't about kumbaya and let's everybody hold hands and run around the fireplace. It's or the, what is it, the fire that you do and roast the marshmallows. That's a camp, right? Those are summer camps. Retreats are literally, you got to retreat inward in order to come out to that. So it was beautiful. And last thing I want to say is that I said to Chris, I said, you are really shy. And I was kind of surprised at the level that he's shy, because he teaches, he was a teacher. He works for the state of Colorado, and he has about, several thousand people's health that he manages and watches. And I mean, he works with people who can be pretty critical of what he's doing, and he stands up for all that, but that his whole system just freaked out yesterday. But he came out with this beautiful prayer. And so later on, I just looked at him and I said, I always knew I liked you, but there's like a level of love that is really starting to come. Chris, I like you. You know that. I really like you. You're a cool guy to hang out with.
You're not bad yourself.
Okay. But there's a love that I have for you that is like, wow, newly discovered. So thank you, all of you, for being the witness to all that as well. And I think Mary said maybe you got pushed. Yeah, that would be the word by the church. And
well, even yesterday, I would say there is a no way but through kind of moment there, right? There was not really an option for backing off at that point. So we were committed. But I said to Masami afterwards that the practice that I introduced of the zikr practice, that was it. That's what you saw. And it feels that naked and raw when you do it. When you're really doing it, it feels just like I felt having to put down all my protections and all of my preparation that broke down in a moment, and basically just show up fully with everything that's there and just let it come. And that's really what that practice is evoking and invoking. So in some ways that was better than what would have been maybe a bit more of a performance if I hadn't been pushed. So sometimes we need a push. I know I do. I'm pretty much a mule in the rest of my life. So I need to be pushed and pulled sometimes to get moving forward.
Well, and I think that's going to transition into everybody's life this coming week, and I do feel November is going to be kind of that same energy that the Chris is talking about right now. It's that feeling of, okay, I prepared, I did all this, and then things just kind of fall apart and you go, what do I do? And at that moment, instead of what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do to everybody else? You go inward and find that courage, the resilience, and tap into that. I think that is what is coming up for me, particularly when I tune into this week and into November as well. Really for the rest of the year, but particularly the next 2-3 weeks are going to be really accelerating that trust that you cultivate within yourself for your inner knowing, how to show up fully as you. And it's not always scripted. It's not always like, I plan this, I A, B, C, D, and then everything has to work out this way. And then I have to look perfect. It's the selfies of the world, right? As you know, if you check my Facebook or whatever, I only have a single photo because I was forced to take that photo, right? So I'm not a selfie kind of a person, but it's like we are in the world of so many selfies, like a perfect photo. But I think where we're coming into what we're going into, particularly with the full moon and on for like the next 2 weeks, is that you've got to really show up knowing that the answer is in you. You can do this. You don't need to look perfect and prepare so much. So trust that your ancestors are actually helping you to go forward. So I'm going to pause there because I have to cough.
One thing I was reminded of too is that when we talked about I think it was last Monday, we shared about our nighttime hike where we went out under the stars, and we just allowed the darkness to show us the light that was there. We allowed our bodies and our senses to adjust to it. And there's that line that it came to me. It actually was a retreat that I did. It was a program I did with Gene Houston a few years ago, and this line came to me. I've shared it before here, but it was that darkness is the light that we cannot see. And this phrase just kept repeating in my head, and that really is something there. And then there's someone else, and I can't remember who said it, but there's another line I really liked, which is, in the darkness, you are the light. And that's, in some ways, that's getting at the same thing, but it's a little more potent, is that in the darkness, you are the light. And so when we're doing these times of retreat and internal exploration, sometimes that's all we've got, is what we take in there with us. In fact, that's usually how it works. And a lot of times we find that what's waiting for us is whatever we left behind the last time we looked inward. And it's just been there hanging out. Sometimes it grew. Sometimes it got a little hairier and a little scarier in the meantime. But I was just reminded of several of these things. And when I've been on other retreats, that draw to go outside into the darkness and just to walk under the stars and not fear it. I think that's the movement that we're all taking when we allow ourselves that time to go inward.
Yeah. Mary Bassa says, I went outside late last night after talking with some amazing ancestors. The moon was so beautiful and bright. I could feel the messages from beyond. It was mind blowing. And will you read Erlene's text, the chat as well?
Yes, she says, being with you and all this weekend has given me the possibility of letting go of the facade I've been using in my own classes, to prepare for sure, but to drop the script, to let go of the perfect picture of myself and all the other trappings I've developed to, quote, make the class a success. It will be what it will be, and it will be perfectly fine. I can relate to that one. Erlene, this is something that I've had to really practice a lot lately, and sometimes it's because of circumstance. I find myself, again, pushed or dropped into situations that, Masami she's good at saying, oh, you can do it, you'll be fine. And then it is generally, if I show up, it's generally fine. But that's become more and more how it works, is that I have my preparation material, but then there's what needs to happen. And when it comes down to it, that's really the only thing that matters. And sometimes what needs to happen has nothing to do with what we prepared. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that comment. And I think that mindset and that approach is more broadly what this time that we're all living through is asking of us, is to be agile and flexible and able to take what we've learned and try it on in new ways, and not just in a rigid training sort of way. This is something that I've really always found interesting, is this notion of training, because when we talk about training, we're talking about molding something into a shape. And I think at this time it's almost the opposite of that that's needed. It's the response. It's the real live, what is here and how does it need me right now? So I'll say one more thing that I've mentioned this one before, but I have it up on my board and I see it every day. And so it reminds me of this. And it's something one of my mentors said to me, it's many years ago now. And it was this question. And again, he said, you don't have to answer this now, but you do have to answer it. And the question was, what do you uniquely offer the world of tomorrow? And that's something that challenge is there for all of us. So each of us has a part to play here. And that's the challenge that life has thrown to us. What do you uniquely offer the world of tomorrow? We put it in terms of ancestors looking backward, those 23 generations over the retreat, but we have to look forward now too. So what does that mean? Where are you standing right now that allows you to bring something new and fresh? That's not training. It's your lived experience. It's your unique place in this world, the perspective that only you can share.
Could you read Claudette's and Mrs. Peters' comment as well? And then we will, I have a surprise today, everyone, before you read that. Not surprised, but we didn't prepare a whole lot for this Monday call. So I decided that I love reading people. So reading as in, so if you have questions, after we chat for a few more minutes, I'm going to take questions today. So surprise. Okay. So if you have questions, start thinking about it and then raise hands. So let's read Claudette's.
Okay. So Claudette said, and we got to witness deeply the beautiful love we know you have for each other. I was thanking Chris for enabling you, Masami, to be the wonder you are, still left side included. And then yesterday, the beauty of Masami's deep love and support was an honor and intimacy to witness. Thank both of you for who you are, sending love and light from my heart to both of you. So thank you, Claudette.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Peters. I went through a time of darkness when my husband got really sick last fall. I was staying at my son's house and the bedroom faced south. I woke up one night and saw a light on my hand. It was the full moon shining right on my hand like it was fully hugging me. And it brought me so much peace in such a hard time. Thank you for that image. That's exactly the sort of serendipity that we're talking about. Serendipity, and then also this ever presence. We don't have to manufacture this. It's already here. And that's really one of the big underlying messages that we both would have to say about what we're doing here is how can you connect with what's already here? Not how can you find something that you are seeking, but how can you recognize and embrace and receive what's already here for you? Okay, so
well, and, I wanted to say one more thing about the questions that we often receive, right? Is that they'll say, well, do you have any kind of a breathing technique that I can do at this time or that? And yes and no, right? Yes and no. I remember decades ago, one of my yoga teachers, he was like a very heavy Indian accent yoga teacher. And he would say, the answer is, I can't do the Indian accent. Chris can do it. But the answer is always, he's like, yes and yes. Like, yes, there are ways to change your breathing patterns and you can do these things. And yes, like every question was yes, because it all depends. But, what I was trying to convey to all of you over the weekend too, is that before you pile on more tools and before you pile on more things to self-improve yourself all day long and go on the I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not basically perfect enough, so I need more tools and more tools. Before you go and do that, we have to stop. We must stop, retreat back into yourself and say, what kind of patterns am I carrying around? Have I gotten too hard inside me to even engage with the healing practice? Because so many of us just want more tools, but they haven't softened up who they are inside. They haven't created flexibility inside. They haven't peeled away at the hardened layers inside, so that you're just piling more tools on top of a really rigid, hardened surface. That's going to eventually just become a sediment that would just pile onto each other, and eventually going to find yourself a wall of tools that just made you feel like you are not who you are. Okay. So please don't seek more and more. Is this the better breathing exercise? Is this the best stretch? Is this the best, spiritual teachings? Stop. Just stop all that. We're coming into the season. November and December are the season for all of us to begin to slow that seeking mind that chatters in the brain, and really settle that waves, create just a little ripples, so you can begin to experience the sea of tranquility that we really talked about. I talked about so much during that 3 days. Okay, we have to quiet down inside. So just find out, whenever you feel like, oh my gosh, there's a new next tool that I have to learn. There's another breathing technique. There'll be endless amount of breathing. But how are you breathing in this moment? Can you tweak it a little bit enough to begin to shift the hardened self? A lot of us don't heal. Okay, Carolyn Mace wrote that book, Why People Don't Heal, right? And why some people heal, or whatever, something like that. Yeah, certain things she said there, they resonate with me. But I do believe that we don't heal because we have hardened ourselves inside. So things cannot be absorbed, right? So that's kind of where I wanted to go with that comment. And Chris, you have anything else you want to add before I answer?
No, the only thing I wanted to add, it's just right on that topic of hardening. And I mean, you can imagine look at some of your pipes in your house, or your faucet in your kitchen sink or bathroom, and you'll notice where there's a steady flow, a steady drip, there's some hardening that happens. There's some mineral depositing that happens. And the same thing happens to us physically. It happens to us emotionally, psychically, psychologically, all the different layers that we experience. And it's so important that we return the flexibility and the softness, the ability to be supple and to move with the forces that are pushing against us and also drawing us forward. And so, we often think about bones, and this is something Masami mentioned this in her 7Bs course, was that bones are actually flexible. If they were truly just hard, they would shatter anytime that much pressure was put on them. They're actually very flexible. And so we have to move through experience in life that way, is to invite the cleaning out that's required to maintain that supple flexibility. And sometimes when that happens, it's really terrifying, because it's like a rush. It comes up unexpectedly a lot of the time, or we're so used to controlling how we express that when that rush comes, we want to just run away and hide from it, because it feels too much. It feels like it's going to consume us, but it doesn't. Somehow we can withstand it. And that's what we have to do, is let it come and not hide from it. And then that balance gets to be restored. At least it moves toward balance. So that's all I've got.
Okay. And I don't know. It's like I want to answer. Tatiana's got her hand up. So, but one of the things that I notice where the rigidity begins to happen and rigidity show up is that there are certain people that will contact me and they really want to figure out what's going on in their health, because the health is deteriorating. But their thinking has become so rigid that they will say, there's got to be something that's emotionally connected. There's got to be something that is like my emotions, my childhood traumas are connected to this disease or this issues. And remember that the yogi that said to me, yes, yes. Okay. Is it emotional? My answer will be yes, my dear. Is it physical? Yes. Is it mental? Yes. Is it ancestral? Yes. Is it my past lives? Yes. It's always yes. Okay. But my job and your job is out of the yeses, which is yes, all of it. Okay. The weather will impact your health. Okay. The amount of water you drank will impact your health. Which side of the bed you slept on will impact your health. Okay. And your traumas, your ancestors' traumas. Yes. However, you have to be able to sit there in the stillness enough to decipher discernment. This is when you create the better discernment inside you that says, I know there's so many causes, but I need to start to look at this. It might be what I'm choosing to put inside my mouth. Okay. It might be when I'm choosing to go to bed. It might be the fact I have not ever addressed the abuse that I went through when I was 7 years old. I don't know exactly which one's going to be the most important thing for you, but that's where I'm able to tune in and say, this is where we have to start. Okay. So please find yourself, look into yourself and say, where am I getting rigid? Am I always searching for the emotional realm to find what's going on in my health? That's rigidity. Okay. That's inflexibility. Okay. Your health is never going to get better if you only look into the emotional side or only the energetic side, only the trauma side. Do you know how traumatizing for your body it is to every day be dehydrated and blood sugar is dysregulated? Do you know how traumatizing that is to your cellular level? It's incredibly traumatizing. So we have to stop putting trauma as only the list of things that you went through based on ACEs scores or some other things. We have to look at the body and say, what can I do so that you are less injured every day by my own action? So please pause and look at body, mind, spirit. I'm a body, mind, spirit. There are many causes to all things, all things. Yes, yes, yes. But don't get too rigid. If you've been seeking the help through the realm of psychotherapy or emotional work or energy work for the last 20 decades and your health has not improved, in fact, has deteriorated, it's time for you to stop getting away from that journey, move away, go into another road, find another path and try that. Okay. And, this is a funny analogy, but a lot of people say to me, oh, I tried it. I tried everything. I tried this supplement. I tried this diet, da, da, da. And I come to find out that they did it for only, I don't know, 3 weeks, 3 months, even 3 years. And I have to remind you, if you have a heavy metal toxicity like I did, and I still do, mercury alone takes 10 years to get it out of your system. 10 years. And most of you that show up to my calls are women, okay? Women that are more interested in learning about themselves, right? If you were to go find that one perfect pair of shoes, are you going to try one pair and say, oh, this just does not fit? Okay, this pair does not fit. And you're just going to say, I'm never going to go shoe shopping. No, you probably try out different shoes. Okay. And if it doesn't work out that day, you'll say, all right, I'll go back this coming weekend again. Right. So shoe shopping, we can relate to. Okay. Because I love shoes. And, I don't really, I've been in sweatpants for the last 2 straight years. So shoe shopping hasn't been a huge thing for me. But you can see where I'm going with it, right? So make sure that you don't give up after 3 pairs of shoes. Please keep going. Yes, life is trying. Life is trying. Buddha always said, life is suffering. So, okay, that's it. life is suffering, but he didn't say that's it, the end. There's so much more you can discover from knowing that, yeah, life is challenging, but keep trying out the new pairs of shoes. You'll find it. You'll find that pair. Okay.
I need, hold on, before you take the question, two nerdy comments. One is that the word experience actually, it comes from the word which means trying. So it actually, yeah, the word experience means trying. And what's interesting is in English, the word trying has a couple of meanings. One is it's if something is trying to us, it's challenging, it's testing us in some way. So that's one aspect that we can call experience. And the other one is our effort that we put into life itself. So we're trying in that sense as well. So that's one thing. The other one is that what Masami was saying about all of the yeses, it reminded me of an old saying that gets quoted in a lot of different disciplines. My background's in psychology, and so it gets quoted there as if that's where it came from, but I know it's circulated pretty widely. But it's this idea of the beginner or the student and the master, or the, you know, the one who has experience. And it goes something like this, that where the beginner sees 1,000 possibilities, the master sees but one. And that's what Masami's talking about, in part with discernment, but also with that, you know, fine-tuning your intuition and your power to notice what is needed now. That's really, all of these things come together. And so you can look at it as a skill to develop, not merely, I don't want to downplay the term gift, because many people I know here have a sense of that, of having developed their intuitive capacity. But it's the whole package of those things. It's discernment, it's observation, it's experience, and it's pulling it all together. Okay, I'm done. So go ahead, and got two callers or two hands up.
Well, you know, I think that's what you're all cultivating right now, right? Is that I could be working with somebody and somebody says to me, I have been to so many people and nothing has changed. Well, my job is that my gift is that I know causes are many. Okay. There are many things that will influence us. It's so endless that I can't even begin to tell you what's really causing the main issue, because there's so many things. But my job is to say, out of all the possibilities, what's really the most important thing right now that you need to address, right? So I've given you an example of this client that's been to so many people for the last 13 years, been told that it's her karma, it's her energy, it's her past lives, it's this and that, it's her star systems, whatever. And when I first talked to her over the phone, I didn't even look at her, it was just a phone. I said to her, your house is moldy and you got fungus and yeast overgrowth inside your body. And I need you to take care of that. Like, that is where we need to go, right? So it's shocking to some of us that's been seeking other ways, because you're still looking for something other than the target, the most important target, okay? So that's what I do the best. You know, if you were to ask me, what do you do and what do you do the best? That's what I do the best, right? So I'm going to ask Tatiana to unmute yourself. And let's, we only have about 20 minutes, so let's make it precise what your question is.
So my question not about health, my question about sabotaging. I sabotage myself. I moved to another apartment. I don't want to unpack my stuff. I don't know why. I always didn't like to do all kind of, you know, homework, but this is like I sabotaging myself constantly. So, and I just don't want to do that. So I don't know, what is it about? Is it my previous life, or like you said, from all possibilities? Would you?
Yeah. So where do you live?
In New York and Brooklyn.
New York and Brooklyn. But where did you move from?
Also from Brooklyn.
You're also from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
You were born there?
No, I was born in Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan. Do you still have family in Uzbekistan?
No.
No, everybody moved to New York.
No.
And how old were you when you moved?
How old when I was moved?
Were you a little child?
No. I was about 30 years old, 30 something.
Oh, 30 something. Okay.
Yeah.
You probably already know that the Brooklyn is not ever going to be your home. You probably
Really?
know that in your heart, don't you?
I don't know. I thought opposite. I thought it's my home.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want you to look deeply into that answer. Okay? Because why is it your home? Why is it your home? Tell me, why is it home? Why is Brooklyn your home?
I get used to it. I feel safe in here. I have work. In New York, I get used to live here. So,
Yeah, so you got
and
used
my relatives, my sister live next door
Exactly.
to me.
Yeah, your family's all there, right?
Mhm.
Right. But I'm not sensing it from your heart level. That's your home. Your heart misses so much more of the nature. Misses the nature so much. So much more of the mountainous kind of places is what's missing inside your body. It's where your family is. And then you use the word I got used to. Right? You're used to that place, but it's not your heart home.
You kind of, right, because I before the pandemic, I used to go to Caribbean almost twice a year, and I was enjoy it. And I do miss that vacation, but I always was love to come back, and I love big city. I used to live in Uzbekistan, also a big city, not like in nature, not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's your heart. You're going into a new. How old are you now?
49.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're going into a second part of your life. I thought you might be around that age. So you're going into the second part of your life, and your second part of your life is saying, I need to have a life that is more nourishing and fulfilling. Okay. It's less of this like having to get things done. I got work to do, da da da. I would recommend that you just take a vacation. Okay. I want you to take a vacation and go somewhere that has a little bit of hills to it, get a little more nature to it. Nourish your heart with it. Could you do that a little bit more? Then you can come back and think about whether you should unpack the bags and boxes or not. Okay. Because you're doing it by what I'm used to. This is where everybody else is. But your heart is saying the totally different things to me. Your heart does not like that environment at all. Okay.
My sister, she has a summer house in Pennsylvania. Should I go there?
Sounds perfect. Yes. Yes. Anywhere but where you're at right now.
Okay.
Sounds a little crazy, but I need you to just go away for a little bit. Okay. Can you do the work remotely or?
Yeah,
Yes,
I can manage it.
Okay, good. Could you just take a little bit of time? Like I need 3, 4. Yeah, I get anywhere from 3 weeks to almost 4 weeks. If you could just do something like that.
Oh, is that long?
Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And see what you can manage. Like if you could remotely work, I want you to grocery shop at a different grocery stores. I want you to maybe buy more local things. I want you to go for evening walks, morning walks with the trees. Your heart is just yearning for a little bit more a different pace.
But you don't see anything from my previous life, right? Or ancestors.
Well, I think you're onto something there because you are a little bit different than the rest of your family. You have a different way of looking at things. Yeah. So that could be an influence of your ancestors might have been the nomads, or they might have really enjoyed even I see as like riding horses even, So I think you have a nature that your ancestors, if you want to call it that are like really calling in, say, can we please have a little bit more different life than just buildings and concrete and occasional parks. Okay. Even though your family, excuse me, your family's there in Brooklyn, I need you to take this time and make it as like a special thing you're going to do for yourself, for your own soul and your heart. I think you'll be happy with it. Yeah. And do let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Diana, I'm going to have you asked to unmute.
I'm even going to turn my camera off for this special question. So I wrote down the little question that Chris gave us a couple weeks ago. What do I uniquely offer to the world of the future? And that's what I'm kind of feel where I can't get clarity on. There's 3 things I'm super passionate about my whole life, and I've really developed extensively. And I sometimes feel like maybe even what we offer is not even available yet, there's not a word for it. So what I had come up with that I really have passion for is to do a custom fit energy blueprint for someone for their home that has their personal energy stamp on it. And when I started doing this, which I've done for 29 years, there were no words. So I kind of feel like 2 things. One, that I feel I've even stopped trying to put it to words. And I love everything with houses. I love everything beautiful. I love everything that brings a person out who they really are. It is so much fun for me. And I have very strongly developed my clairvoyance. And I also sell real estate right now. And I cannot make a decision. And like how to separate them.
Out of all of them, because you're trying to separate them. Why are you trying to separate them?
I did. 30 years ago, I tried. I thought I could do design, energy work, and real estate. And
okay, got it. Now is the time. You were a little too ahead of your time. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Because when you started to separate them, I did not feel well. When you said, well, how do I separate them? How do I, it's like, why are you separating what is meant to come together?
But what's really exhausting is when you have a real estate client and they can't hear what you can do for them energetically by staging their home. So usually I just ask them on a spirit level and go ahead and do it. But I've gotten to how, I'm always complimenting Chris, how eloquent he is and how he can verbalize his, I have just given up on that. I feel like I cannot find, I wrote notes so I can be succinct. I feel like I can't find words anymore to express what I offer because I can see everyone's pictures when I talk to them. And most of the time I put it out there. It's lovely to have people like you all in the circle, but most people walking around out there in Chicago are not, you have to meet a person where they can hear you.
Yeah, but I think that is where you're getting a little rigid. I think there are more of us out there. Have you been a little bit more clear about your niche, like who you really want to work with? Have you come up with like 5 qualities that your clients must have? Like who do you want to work with? Who is your like best client?
People who are open to, hearing things, people who can afford me, people who, it's not competitive. It's not like I know something more than them. People who are fun and people who really who want what I offer. Most people start out thinking that, but it's not really, it's too much for them. So I've just pulled myself back and my own house is so overdone, because I have this to give and I can't find the outlet for it.
Yeah, I get it because I think I've been in that place many times before. And at the same time, the world is shifting so much. You have to get a lot more clear on your niche. You got to get clear on who your clients are, because from what you just told me, I want a little more refinement. That's going to be your homework. I want exactly, I even like, what do you mean by who somebody can afford? Okay, what price range are we talking about? What kind of a homes are you talking about? Are you talking about decorating the house, like staging the house before they sell the house? I mean, I need a little more details on that too. And you are basically way ahead of the curve. Okay, you are probably 30 years ahead of what was going on in psyche for people to even deal with what you're trying to offer. But now people like us, I mean, when you're telling me, I'm like, wow, I want to hire you. Like, this is perfect. This is the kind of person that I want to work with. I mean, don't you think everybody just like do some of these things? So let her know, like, we are your clients. Okay. So
Well, even like you said yourself, like you came up with this retreat idea. Who would have thought that that could be so successful on Zoom? And so I just,
you just have to really, let's get a little bit more of your self-esteem up, because I sense that you have so much to offer, but there's a part of you, little you, or I almost hear like one of your parents' voices, like your mom, oh, you're not that good, or oh, you know, like don't be.
my thing, my whole life has been, I'm too much. Slow down, Diana. You're going too fast.
You're not too much.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You're just enough. Okay. You're not too much. You're just perfectly enough. Okay. However, there's a part of you that thinks that you have to pretend to be smaller. Okay. That's going to really create an illness inside you if you continue with that, because that can turn into a poisonous thing. Okay. So I want you to really write down, what is my business plan? What does it look like? Who do I really want to work with? Okay. And begin to tell yourself that you are totally enough. Okay. You're not too much. You're the Goldilocks right now of exactly what we need in this world right now. Okay. So stop saying it, because I've read your comments many times. Chris, you're so articulate. I don't have that in me. Oh, BS. Look how much you were able to share with us. I was taking notes, like energy blueprint. Oh my God, that sounds really interesting. Real estate with it. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm writing these things down. And I bet you there are many of us that were writing this down. Okay. You're not too much. You are actually just perfect right now. You're just enough combination that we've been all looking for. Okay. So could you kind of write down, maybe next week or the next Monday we get together? I like to hear your business statement, what you offer, who are your clientele, okay? And write it from your enoughness place, not from the place of, oh, is this like too much? Am I sharing too much? Am I doing too much energy work with this? Should I pull back? Oh, stop. Okay, I get it, because I always did that. I was like a chameleon. Oh, this person can't take the energy side too much, so I'm not going to even talk about it. Okay. Oh, this person only wants to talk about the supplements, so I'm just going to do that. Oh, this person only wants to talk about the emotional traumas and ancestral healing, so I'm just going to talk about. Oh my God, that got me so exhausted, because I was being pulled apart. I was pulling myself apart. Okay. You are all of the above, girl. Okay. So I want to know more about your business. So will you do that again?
Okay, well, thank you. I don't want to take any more time. Thank you so much.
Good. All right, Marilyn, your turn. Okay, did I ask you to unmute? Yeah, I did. Okay. Good.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Oh, I just want to say, Diana, I could use you, and you are amazing. And when we talk to people about things that they don't want to hear, it offers an opportunity for there to be that crack that Masami talked about, so the light can get in. And I have questions about what to eat and getting pregnant. And I will just ask you, which one is most important? My heart wants to get pregnant.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're meant to get pregnant. Okay. So let me just ask you, just tell me. Okay, so you don't even need to tell me. Immediately your body's like, could you please tell this girl, please tell this girl to eat more protein?
So I'm having a problem with some protein and I would like some help, please, with some sources of protein. I'm having difficulty with textures of meat just
Yeah.
because of things.
Okay, let's breathe. Breathe out. Yeah. Okay, because it's psychologically difficult for you, because I was just going to ask you, were you a vegetarian for a long time, or, were you a vegan? But okay, so your body is really depleted right now. You will get pregnant. I do actually even see a little girl coming in already, but I need your body to replenish the nourishment that you need right now. Okay. And it has to come from protein. Okay. But the protein for pregnancy for me, and then there are different voices out there in the world. For me, what has worked the best is red meat. Okay. Red meats are the best way to rebuild your body so you can carry on the pregnancy. But that means you have to support your digestion. Okay. Because if you can't digest the protein will become putrefied in your body and it becomes very toxic to your system. And when you experience that you can't eat meat very well, if you do, it just sits there for hours. You just feel bloated, gassy, heaviness, and you just think, oh my God, I can't do this. Okay. That means your protein is starting to get, putrefied, right? Then that can be so toxic to your lymphatic system. It's toxic to your liver and so on and so forth. So this is where the supplement that I often talk about, which is called betaine hydrochloric acid, right? Betaine HCl. And Andrew is showing it, but betaine hydrochloric acid, okay? It's not quite, But betaine is, Chris can put it up. Okay, Richard put it up, Chris put it up. So there you go, betaine HCl. You need to take that hydrochloric acid with your protein meals.
Okay.
So you can begin to digest the protein, then the texture business tends to go away, okay? So finicky eaters, texture issues, people that say, I can't swallow supplements very well, those have a lot to do with zinc deficiency, okay? People are low on zinc. So you may want to begin to do liquid zinc. Maybe you could do lozenges. You can take tablets if that's possible for you to swallow to get your zinc up as well as your hydrochloric acid up. Okay. Then the texture gets a lot better.
Okay, great. I did start taking a zinc supplement when you folks did the show on that. So you recommend some liquid perhaps?
Liquid is okay. Tablets are great too. Okay. Tablets you get a lot more from. So that's great. What you're doing is great. I get a yes on that. It's the hydrochloric acid that's missing.
Okay. Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Chris, do you want to read the comment that just came in? Oh, yeah. Claudette says, Chris, where are you? I don't even see you anymore.
I'm here. She, I believe, is commenting back toward Diana's situation. And she said, yes, she sounds great. I am an artist and know how I feel about a lot of things and would welcome a cohort to help me find it in this reality. Recently, I went to South Africa in the bush for 2 weeks, and wow, is it hard to be in San Francisco now. You sound like a delight and would love to have you talk with my partner about all of this. He too knows real estate, but I feel is stuck in the old ways. You are not too much. That is also something I was told, so have to keep too much of it in. You, yes, look forward to hearing more of your niche. Looking forward to what you come up with. And Masami, thank you for your exuberant response. This is a delight.
Oh, great. Yeah, we're all going to be looking forward to what Diana is going to come up and propose for us. So we're excited. And is it okay if I go into Jacqueline's?
Yeah, we should keep an eye on the time for today, but yes, let's do it.
I'm going to mute her. Hello.
Hi, I want to just thank you both again for the wonderful weekend. It was so rich and beautiful. And so it leads me, my iPad has something in front. It leads me to the question. I was going to ask about my legs, if you had anything to say about my legs and feet, but now I want to ask about sleep apnea because I have sleep apnea. And recently I was able to get off my thyroid medicine. I titrated down over many, many months. And now I want to ditch the CPAP machine. So I'm want
Oh,
to titrate down the
Yeah,
air
'cause
pressure.
I was gonna ask you that
But-
you're a mouth breather is what the first thing that came to me. So the CPAP, yeah. Nostril breathing is where you gotta go. Okay, so are you new to my work, or have you been following that? I talk a lot about the sinus and nostril breathing.
I took your 5B class, and so I think, I have obstructive sleep apnea where the soft palate goes just floppy in the night. So I haven't tried the taping yet, but maybe that's the next step to do is the taping, even though I have my nostril pillows in with the CPAP machine every night. I'm using, taping.
Yeah, so hold on a sec, okay? Let me just check in. So I get no on the environment, so that's good because I wanted to make sure you don't have a moldy issues or anything. I don't get yes on that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the sinus. Is she having any mold issues? Okay, fungal issues? No, okay. Digestion, yeah, digestion is an issue. Small intestine, large. So small intestine is quite irritated. Do you eat a lot of nuts and seeds?
I have been eating more nuts lately.
Okay, quit that.
Oh, I just got some beautiful organic nuts at the farmer's market last week.
I know, but I don't care how beautiful they are. They were, they were wrapped in Dalai Lama's hands and put a bow on of a, coat. I don't care. I don't want you to eat nuts and seeds bunch right now. Take about 1, 2, 3, about 2.5 to 3 weeks off of nuts and seeds, okay? Because that's really like scraping the small intestine. I want you to remember that the small intestine is directly connected to what happens to the rest of the body, but small intestinal lining is as thin as your eyelids. So if you eat too many nuts and seeds, okay, they can actually, because have you ever seen nuts and seeds come out of your poop? Yes, we have.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That means you're not breaking them down, right? So that means these little edges of walnuts and almonds and God knows what else, they are going to be scraping through your small intestinal lining. It's very, very irritating. Okay.
What about, I make cashew milk and almond milk because I got off of dairy. What about the nut milks? Are those okay?
So I get no on the almond milk. Cashew milk is like a maybe. So it's not totally no, but it's a maybe for you. Okay. I think I need you to just kind of take a little break from the nuts and seeds. All right. And really focus on really nutritionally dense foods that they come from more protein and vegetables. Okay. And make sure you're cooking your vegetables. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, your body immediately said nuts. She's eating too many nuts. That's why I asked you about the nuts. Okay. So let's start there. Start maybe the taping and see how that feels. I also feel like your body says, can she exercise her tongue? And sounds like exercising a tongue sounds crazy, but you have to remember I'm linguistically trained. So what that means is I come from a family that teaches linguistics. Okay. But it's more of the how to pronounce words. Okay. And as you know, English is my second language, but I do sound a little bit like a bloody Americans is what, when I lived in London in UK, they used to say to me, you sound like a bloody American. That's because, yeah, I'm from Japan, but I hardly have Japanese accent. And don't tell me in the chat that, oh, yes, you do, Masami. I can hear your Japanese accent. Give me a break, okay? Yes, I do have a little Japanese accent, but no, I bet you've never met a person from Japan that sounds just like me. That's because my father created a program on training the tongue, okay? And put the tongue in the right position in order to pronounce any language in the world. So if I studied many other languages and they all said to me, you sound just like a native speakers. That's because I know how to use my tongue, okay? So what you do is you stick your finger out, okay? This is before you go to bed and maybe when you wake up in the morning too, you stick your tongue out to the finger, maybe 10 to 15 times. So, and you practice the muscles of your tongue. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
tongue is actually a muscle. It's a very strong muscle also, okay? So get your jaw and your tongue to move. When you do that, miracles begin to happen actually, okay? And this, the Sea of Tranquility point that we talked about over the weekend,
Yes.
That area is tender. That means your tongue is also weak and you're not chewing enough.
Okay. Do you see no CPAP in my future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I might get banned from YouTube for saying that, but that's such a gimmick, just so you know. They could have just given you a $10.99 mouth tape for $10.99 and give it to you for free, basically, and said, do this, and then you'll be able to fix your issues. Yes. So a lot of people can get off of that when they begin to bring attention to the small intestine and the tongue health, mouth health, and also start to tape your mouth this way. Yeah. So you're not, you can still breathe in and out of the mouth if you need to. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. No nuts and seeds for you for a while. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Sharon, if your question is super quick, I'm going to unmute you, and then you'll be the last person today.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good to see you. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to be 76 in November, and I'm looking for where to live. I've spent 18 years creating a healthy home and thought that I was going to stay in Lexington, Virginia. And, but I always wanted to live in Western Massachusetts, which is where my adopted family is. And so I went up there for 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, and spent time seeing them and seeing Western Massachusetts. The thing is that when I moved here to Lexington, I thought this would be a good place to live. And I don't, as a single woman, it's not a good place for me, because I'm totally out of the social scene, etc. And so I'm wondering whether I don't want to make the same mistake, move someplace and make the same mistake. What do you think?
I know this has been a conundrum for you. We've talked about it a while back also. And, I have to say, I don't get a full yes on you moving till 2023.
Okay.
So that's when I got the yes. Because when I first asked your body, is she moving? I got no. And I said, is she moving this year? No. Next year? No. The following year start to get a little stronger, but is it January, February, March, April, May? Around May, I get a little stronger yes. But your job right now is to begin to, I don't want you to leave this community that you're in now, okay? The place you're in now with that kind of almost like sadness and even resentment and so much that you put into financially too to be there. I want you to remove some of those emotions, and clear the space, clear your inner home before you make the move. Otherwise, you just carry the same luggage, same baggage with you. So you have a little bit of work to do. You have about a year and a little bit, year and a half or so to clear some of these emotions. You still have a lot of emotions that, male figure comes in. So it might be husband related, ex-husband related. There's a male, like an energy that is stuck. And I even get a yes on your father. So there's like a male energy clearing that you need to be doing before you move to a new community. Does that make sense? In your heart? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my ex-husband died in April 2020. So that was actually good. It was good for him, it was good for me. And yeah, so.
And your dad too, that comes in pretty strong. So there's a lot of still unresolved. I mean, lack of better words, I'm going to use the word anger, but there's the anger, resentment, just feeling like you could never be fully you, kind of. They dragged you down. Yeah, they weren't able to let you be who you are. Okay, so you've got to clear that energy. Okay, take the time for the next year and a half or so to do that, and go visit the new place several times during that time. then I think the transition will be a new start for you. But if you just move within the next 6 months or so, you're going to drag the same energies with you, and you won't meet people because you just packed the same thing and went to another place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You so welcome. Good to see you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I think we will wrap up for today. So thank you for sticking around. And Chris, you have anything else to say for the last part?
I want to just remind everyone, we're going to be taking next week off. So we'll be back in 2 weeks from today, and we'll pick up whatever is fresh in the world for us then.
Okay, good. Thank you, everyone. And you will be getting an email from me for Energy Summit Medicine that I will be on probably tomorrow. I'll be sending you guys the emails. So thank you. Bye.